Welcome into Brewers Daily, here with you every single day. Throughout the Brewers offseason, I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to on the show today. We got rumors coming out of our ears as things are really heating up. We've got a corner turned in the Freddie Peralta offseason storyline. We got that to get to on the show here as well, plus some news on Brandon Woodruff and new uniforms dropping. So that's always a fun time. We'll get to that coming up here on the show as well. But the big news really is the Freddie Peralta rumor that just came out from Ken Rosenthal at The Athletic, how the Brewers are now considering cracking the door open on Freddie Peralta trade discussions because they have just simply received so much interest in Peralta. He's got 1 year left on his contract, $8 million, extremely affordable, especially for a pitcher of his caliber, an ace atop the rotation, and there's a lot of teams that want him. There's not a ton of starting pitching out there on the free agent market. Dylan Cease is already off the board. So everyone's interested. And they all know the Brewers' history when it comes to players nearing free agency with a year to go. They generally have traded them off. See Devin Williams. See Corbin Burns. See Josh Hader with a year and a half to go. You can go down the line. The Brewers have done this time and time again. And it's worked largely pretty well. So they're expecting the Brewers to do it again, and they're calling. They've been calling. Matt Arnold's phone has been blown up apparently with interest in Freddie Peralta, and if they'd like to make a move. So I've kind of said all along, and all the reporters have said all along, that it would take a seriously big offer. The Brewers would have to be blown away in order to actually trade Freddie Peralta because they want to keep him. He's a huge piece of that clubhouse, huge piece of this team, and for $8 million, he's extremely affordable for everyone, but especially the Brewers, the team who kind of needs someone to be affordable and playing on that kind of a salary. So that's what makes it all the more tougher for the Brewers to deal him. But if the interest is that substantial and the Brewers find themselves an offer that they feel is just far and away, positive value for the club, they're going to consider it, and they can potentially take it because Matt Arnold has said all along they got to keep their options open. They're not going to close anything off. They're not going to close any doors. They'll see what happens. They'll see where it goes. But according to Ken Rosenthal, it seems like it might be trending towards a Freddie Peralta trade here this offseason, which is not unexpected, the interest. But again, we still have to see them pull the trigger on a deal, and that, of course, hasn't happened yet. But who knows when that might happen? We got the winter meetings coming up this next week, and you could see trade talks ramp up considerably as those go on, especially if we see potentially other starting pitchers go off the board. Ultimately, I still don't think Freddie Peralta gets dealt at the winter meetings, but that doesn't mean that it's something that couldn't happen later on here this offseason, because it sounds like things really are heating up, and the Brewers, considering cracking the door open, as Rosenthal put it, on a Peralta trade. That's going to be the big move for the Brewers this offseason if they end up doing it, because any other spot that you're looking to upgrade for this team, because we've talked about payroll being a concern, and now they're kind of limited. You got Brandon Woodruff taking up $22 million of the payroll, so you're limited with how much you can spend in free agency. You don't have a ton of needs, but a trade of Freddie Peralta can be a way for you to address whatever needs you may have. Whatever the Brewers are looking at as their major need for this roster, whether it's adding more power, whether it's adding another infielder, whether it's adding an outfielder, a backup catcher. You're probably not trading Freddie Peralta for a backup catcher, but still, that's an area that they're going to be looking at. Whatever needs you feel this team has, if you're Matt Arnold, the Freddie Peralta trade is going to be the way to address it. Because, again, battling in free agency for some of the top guys, it's just not really in the cards for the Brewers. They don't have a ton on their to-do list, to be honest. They really don't. But whatever is on their to-do list, they can knock it all out in one fell swoop with a trade of Freddie Peralta, similar to what they did last year with Devin Williams. I mean, what was their need? They needed some extra starting pitching depth, and they needed an extra infielder. And what do? They went out and got Nestor Cortez for Devin Williams to add some starting depth, which went away quickly as he only made 2 starts, and one of them was basically the worst start in MLB history, giving up 3 home runs on 3 pitches to start the game. My goodness, that was awful. He made 2 starts, and then before he could come back, out the door, ship him to San Diego. And then you got Caleb Durbin because you needed that infield help with Willie Adames leaving, Joey Ortiz sliding over to short, and you get Caleb Durbin to be your third baseman going forward. So they addressed that need by getting a young infielder. So, and after that trade, what did the Brewers really do that offseason? Not much. There was not much else for them to do. So if Matt Arnold's looking to cross off all the stuff on his to-do list, a trade of Freddie Peralta, whatever the return may be, is probably going to check off the other things that are on his to-do list, what his needs are for this roster, and that's what they can use, and I think that's what they're going to be considering now with cracking that door open a little bit, because there's just so much interest in him. Teams are going to be willing to pay up, so that leaves a lot of different avenues for Matt Arnold to get what he wants and get a little bit of leverage here as well. But, really now the question kind of becomes, who's it going to be to? Who are these dancing partners that the Brewers could trade Freddie Peralta to? So that's where we really kind of got to look across the league. I think for certain we can cross out the other teams in the National League Central. Okay, he's not going to the Chicago Cubs. Matt Arnold's not going to do that. Not going to the Cardinals, not going to the Reds, certainly not going to the Pirates. None of that's going to happen. But that doesn't mean he can't end up going elsewhere. But we'll just cross those off to begin with here. But ESPN, Jeff Passan, they put out their trade candidates list the other day, their top 25 trade candidates, and we talked on yesterday's show about one of them that they listed as a fit for the Brewers, Alec Boehm. So if you missed that, you can go back and check the previous episode here on Brewers Daily. But also one of their top trade candidates was, of course, Freddie Peralta. And they listed him, his chances of about 25% of actually getting traded. But they listed a couple of team fits for Freddie Peralta as well. They listed 7 of them here, 7 teams that the Brewers could trade Peralta to, and they are the Mets, the Orioles, the Rangers, the Giants, the Astros, Diamondbacks, and Padres. So, yeah, these are all kind of the usual suspects, teams that are in search of starting pitching, especially top of the rotation type starting pitching, because they have some depth issues there or injury issues. The Padres, they just lost Dylan Cease. He goes to the Blue Jays. The Astros losing Framber Valdez most likely. The Mets, their entire rotation was struggling. The Orioles really need some rotation help. The Rangers, also need a lot of work there. The Giants are looking for more modestly priced rotation upgrades, and Peralta is certainly modestly priced in terms of salary, but when it comes to paying the prospect price, that's going to be a little bit different. The Diamondbacks, they've had pitchers injured, including Corbin Burns, another former Brewer, but that might be a potential spot to pair up the former Brewers rotation guys, Peralta and Burns, once Burns gets back from Tommy John surgery. And it would be ironic because, that series in 2023, that wild card, the Diamondbacks eliminated the Brewers, which was tragic at the time. But the Diamondbacks, I think, could be a legit possibility. I think they got some interesting young players, certainly on the pitching side. They got some guys that they just added to their 40-man roster, maybe a pitcher like Mitch Bratt or Cole Drake, a couple of left-handed starters that have full complement of team control. They got them in a trade with Texas back in July, but that's a possibility. There's some of their top pitching prospects in there that are certainly contending for rotation spots. The Brewers have a ton of them, but if you're trading out Freddie, odds are you're going to be wanting to get a starting pitcher back in return, even though you have a ton of others, because you can never have enough starting pitching depth. You can never have enough pitching. The Brewers saw that in action quite a bit this year. Some other possibilities maybe for them to throw into that deal. I kind of like throwing in maybe a Jordan Lawler. I think that's maybe a possibility. He's someone who's perhaps struggled a bit, but he was the 6th overall pick in the 2021 draft. He doesn't have a ton of MLB experience, and he was drafted out of high school as kind of top flight shortstop, playing third base a bit now, and maybe that could be a spot for him. to get a fresh start, fresh opportunity, young, talented bats that could fit in. So that could be maybe someone you throw in a deal with a Mitch Bratt and maybe a draft pick as well if you can get a competitive balance tax selection, or not competitive balance tax, the competitive balance round for being a small market, because I believe the Diamondbacks are a team that does receive the competitive balance picks this year, because they are one of those smaller markets. And yes, they do. They have a Comp A draft pick this year. They have the third pick in the Comp Round A this year. So that could be another one, because when the Brewers traded Corbin Burns to the Orioles, they got two players and that competitive balance pick. So that's another area to consider. I also do kind of like what the Mets can offer. We saw previously and talked on a previous episode about how maybe a Brandon Sproat and a Luis Angel Acuna could be, a good. I think that'd be a pretty good package for Freddie Peralta for 1 year of him. That could fill some of the Brewers' needs a little bit. Well, I'm not quite sure if the Brewers feel their need is more on the infield or potentially adding to the outfield, because you don't know what you're getting with Garrett Mitchell. Isaac Collins could be a regression candidate. Christian Yelich probably isn't going to play a ton of outfield this next year, as they still kind of have him primarily as a DH. So that could be a possibility as well. So I think the Mets are a legit possibility for Freddie Peralta. I think the Diamondbacks could be. I think there's a deal that could be had there. Not so certain on the Padres being a potential team there. Astros, I'm also not sure what they're going to end up having. The Giants, I don't know if they're going to have what the Brewers are looking for in a potential trade. So the Orioles, maybe. I mean, if the Brewers look in outfield, Dylan Beavers might be a candidate. Got a full 6 years of team control available, and he could be someone that might need an opportunity somewhere. So that's a place to potentially look. I mean, the Brewers have clearly traded with the Orioles in the past for starting pitching. So I think that's another area that we could see the Brewers look in if we're looking for a trade partner for Freddie Peralta. So lots of different teams, tons of teams are going to have interest, and ultimately it's going to come down to who puts down the best offer, who's willing to pay up as much as possible in order to get Freddie. Because the Brewers are frankly going to have themselves a bidding war, the way that this interest appears to be so far. One of the other bits of news from that Ken Rosenthal piece in The Athletic was Brandon Woodruff. How towards the end they're like, hey, another way to kind of ease this financial burden would be to sign Brandon Woodruff to a new deal. To maybe a multi-year deal to kind of lower the money that he's owed for this year to make it easier on him. But according to Rosenthal's league source, there has been no movement on the Brewers talking with Woodruff about a new deal. It's looking like he is going to be playing on the qualifying offer this next year, straight up a 1 year deal. They're not going to worry about changing up the money somehow. They're not going to worry about signing him to a 2 or 3 year deal. I think you're going to want to see if he can have a fully healthy season first, and then when you get to next offseason, then you can kind of be like, hey, this went well or this went poorly, and then you can kind of offer him a contract accordingly. And if it goes well, I still think that there's a solid chance that Woodruff resigns. I mean, he clearly loves it here in Milwaukee. He clearly wants to see it through. So I'm not quite as worried about Woodruff leaving after next year if it all goes well, because I think if the Brewers are interested in having him back, I think Woodruff would take a deal and come back to the Milwaukee Brewers next year if it all pans out well this next season. But yeah, no movement on that according to Rosenthal, and not super surprising either. And finally, the Brewers got some uniform news as dropping today here. The Brewers will have their new City Connects, and they're going to be powder blue. You gotta love the powder blue. It's such a classic, good look. I mean, I really did enjoy these City Connects that the Brewers have had the past couple of years with the Brew Crew on the jersey. I think it's a very great look. Did not love the hat with MKE 414 all jumbled together. It looks like a pretzel. It was not good. That one was just kind of a mess on the hat. But the jersey, it's saying Brew Crew, the light blue. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic jersey. But they're going to be getting some fresh ones, a fresh look from City Connect dropping here. So I'm excited for it. And also that means at the clubhouse sale this weekend, you're probably going to get hopefully, some discounted old City Connect jerseys, at least even more discounted than they would have been previously at that clubhouse sale. So exciting times for sure. You get new uniforms, and well, the trade rumors are really starting to kick up. So now the Brewers might be a legit focal point of the offseason here. There might be a lot more attention on them, which could lead to a lot more news and rumors, which we'd certainly be very excited about. And we're going to talk about it all here and break it down on Brewers Daily as we carry with you through the offseason and, getting us closer to the regular season. I mean, we're coming up on, still 2 months from spring training opening. Feels like a long way away, but it'll be coming up soon enough. So can't wait for that. And we'll be with you every single day, getting you ready for it and seeing what the offseason brings, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be that boring at this point, because these Peralta rumors are really going to heat things up as things go along. We'll see if he stays, we'll see if he goes, and we'll break it all down here. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode as we break it down as things go forward. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. And this has been Brewers Daily.